Welcome to Body Hack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela Morell, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. In today's episode, we dive into an incredible health transformation that every hardworking individual, especially those in demanding jobs, need to hear. Meet Joe Andrew, a truck driver and sole provider for his family who found himself battling extreme fatigue, brain fog, food allergies, and digestive struggles. His health challenges were taking a toll not just on his body, but on his ability to do his job safely. That's when he took a simple blood test that changed everything. Joe finally had answers and a path forward. Stay tuned as we unpack his journey from exhaustion to empowerment and how small strategic changes helped him regain control of his health. I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I want to remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. Today, I'm sitting here with Joe Andrew. Joe Andrew, I met him in Phoenix, Arizona while I was living there. We were playing pickleball together. We met at the tournament and we started having some conversations regarding health, nutrition. But eventually we got in more contact. We talked more. And Joe Andrew, I met you and your wife, Louisa. How long ago was that now?
That was about 7, 8 months ago, back in June of 2014, 24.
Yes. And we have been talking a little bit, and we have been talking about a couple of things about health. But before we start talking about your health journey and what you have been through, tell us a little bit more about who Joe Andrew is. Who are you?
Well, I moved here from Texas back in 2019, and that was right before the pandemic. I was looking for a new adventure, new opportunities. So I left my home back in Lubbock, Texas, moved here to Phoenix, Arizona, and I've been loving it ever since. But in the process of that, me and my wife have also been looking to better our health. She had health issues and stuff. So finding the journey of bettering our lives for ourselves and our daughters, it's been a process. And so right before we met you, we didn't know where to go, where to look. And since we met you, it's been such a blessing.
So, for the people that is not watching YouTube, can you please just explain how old are you now? How old is your wife? How old are your kids?
Yes, I am 37. I'm going to be 38 at the end of February. My wife is 32, and my baby, she's 4 years old. And my oldest daughter, she's going to be 11 in April.
So you're a family of four, and I've met his daughters. They're precious. I love their whole family. They have basically become an extended family of our family. So you were looking into some health stuff, but before we get into that journey, tell us a little bit about what are you doing for work?
Right now, I'm a truck driver. I deliver oil around the valley. I was doing fuel with my prior company, but other than that, I'm just everyday truck driver.
Okay, so that's how you're providing for your family. And did your health, because I want to start talking about your journey, did your health affect your work?
That is a little bit kind of on the yes and no, because as a truck driver, my health was a lot better because before that, I was a correctional officer and I used to exercise all the time, having to deal with a dangerous environment or potential dangerous environment. So I had to stay fit mentally and physically. But when I became a CDL driver looking for better wages, when I started a family and whatnot, my health started declining because the activity being a truck driver is not as much as walking around, checking on people, having uses of force and stuff like that. But yes, it did affect me here about 2 years ago. I Every 2 years, CDL drivers have to get a DOT physical in order to keep their license. And 2 years prior to my last exam, which was probably about 2 months ago, I had to go see a cardiologist because my health was out of whack. I also was told that I had some protein and small amounts of sugar in my urine. So they check our urine, they check our heart, they check our pulse, everything. And they sent me to a cardiologist. I failed my DOT test and I was afraid that I was going to lose my job. So I had to go through various tests, and 3 months later, they approved me for my medical card, which I took as a blessing. But I knew I had to do something different. I knew I had to change. I knew I had to do something for my daughters.
Was that really what was your wake up call, or did you have your wake up call before, or like was that the thing that really was, okay, I need to figure out my health?
Yes, it was a wake up call because coming from the prison environment and into a CDL environment and just being providing for my family, I'm the only sole provider. Like my wife stays home with our girls. And so when I started facing these health issues, it scared me because I might lose my job and I don't know, I didn't know what else to do. Like, what am I going to do to provide for my family? And that did scare me.
And Andrew, he's a very loving father. And for you who watches the YouTube right now, you can see that he has some stars on his cheeks. He came here, he's like, my daughter put them on me this morning and I haven't taken them off yet. And I want to keep them on. And I'm like, that's completely fine. It just shows how devoted parent you are and how, yeah, it's so cute. Okay, so you struggle with that. I also remember you telling me that you were kind of feeling very tired when you were out driving, and that could also cause a lot of consequences being a commercial driver.
Yes. Well, my health did decline a lot and I was very fatigued. I had a lot of brain fog. And while I was driving, there was times where I would like snap, like or doze off, and I'd snap right out of it because it's very important that we're held to a higher standard. If something would have happened, I mean, I could face jail time, being negligent to my sleep or my health, and we have a big responsibility being a CDL driver. So yes, I did have that a lot. And my wife, whenever we would drive around town to go to get groceries or fuel or whatever, I would fall asleep at the light, and my wife would tap me. She was like, "Joe, are you asleep?" And I'm like, "No," and I was embarrassed to say so. But yes, it did happen a lot, and it got very scary.
So luckily it was only when his car was standing still and he was standing and waiting for the red light to become green. But it is fascinating how stress, how our health are impacting the way we're feeling, the way we are able to like stay awake or be sleepy. Um, yeah. So is there anything else? Because I know that you also struggle, like if we're not looking from your work environment, but just in general, what kind of other symptoms were you struggling with prior to meeting me?
So prior to meeting you, some of the things that I struggled with that I didn't know were issues were I started developing food allergies. So like bananas and grapes were things that I couldn't eat that would like get really itchy on my throat and my ears. And so I had to stop eating those things. Even during winter change, the climate change, I would develop really bad symptoms like sinus pressure, and I would have very bad headaches. Um, but the stresses of that, I couldn't sleep. I would toss and turn at night. I just wasn't getting the health that I or the healthy sleep that I needed, that I know I needed for my job. And just, even being off of the work and being with my family, I needed that because I couldn't be the father or the husband I needed to be if I was just constantly fatigued. Sit down, watch TV, or go to the park. I was extremely tired. And I was embarrassed to say it. I was embarrassed to look for help. A lot of us suffer in silence. And another thing that I had was IBS. So when we would go and eat at a restaurant, it was shortly after I had to go to the restroom, and my wife was like, "What's going on? Like, why? We just barely ate." And it got so embarrassing because I didn't want to fight with my wife. She didn't know. She didn't understand what I was going through, and that was a turning point that I was like, you know what? I'm declining in a way that I don't understand, and I need to find some type of help.
So food allergies. And that can be cross allergies because did you ever get a diagnosis for that?
No, I didn't. I got allergy shots because of my environment, but not for food allergies.
Okay, so we don't know if it's a food allergy or a cross allergy, but regardless, it gave him symptoms while he was eating bananas and grapes in particular. And then extreme fatigue and IBS and so on. Okay, so you met me. I started explaining a little bit about cellular health, and we took a blood test to measure how hard your cell membranes are and how many pro-versus anti-inflammatory building blocks are building up your cell membrane. And do you remember your test results?
Yes, my first test result was a 31 to 1 ratio.
So basically, 31 times too much inflammation going on in every single cell. And how did that make you feel seeing those red test results?
Well, I wasn't sure of how I felt as far as those test results because I didn't understand yet the importance of the ratio, but I knew it was bad. And my health, I knew it was bad. I knew I needed something. So I was excited because now there's an answer. There's a answer to what I'm going through in my body, and I was waiting to see what I could do about it.
Yeah. And I know that you also tested your children and your wife. Tell us a little bit about their journey also prior to this, what they struggled with, and if you're comfortable, if your family is approving you sharing, share their result too.
Yes. So I will start with my baby, Dalia. She was at a 15 to 1 ratio. And for her, the thing that I noticed was she had an eczema spot on her elbow, and it would flare up. And so I used to use eczema cream and CBD oil to lessen the pain, but we'd always have to reapply it. And that was something that she was dealing with, and I didn't know what to do. Me personally, I was uncomfortable going to doctors because of what I've seen with my family and their history. So I wanted to find a solution for her. My oldest daughter, Elise, she would bite her nails, um, very until they would bleed on her nail bed. And her test result was a 10 to 1 ratio, which wasn't as high as my baby's, but still, now that I understand the ratio and the importance of it, it was still pretty high. And for my wife, she was a 37 to 1. She was 6 points higher than me. She has hypothyroidism, and her joints would hurt, and her fingers, when I would squeeze her fingers, they would hurt. It would test them and whatnot. And her nails were very fragile, so they would always snap. She could never grow out her nails. And so, as seeing those results, me, my wife, I'm like, we got to do something. Like, we got to see what's going on. So it was exciting moment in our lives when we saw that. I knew that there's going to be a solution.
So after that, we started looking into what kind of easy changes can we do in your lives. And we created a health protocol that was really beneficial for you and your daughters, that was easy to implement. And you have now done that for about 8 months, you said.
Yes, it's been about 8 months.
And can you tell us what have changed? You can start with the baby and then you can move upwards.
Okay, so my baby, her eczema stopped. She no longer has to use any cream, and that right there, you can see the scar from her on her elbow, from her eczema patch, and we're just amazed by that.
Did you notice that right away, or did it take a few months, or like what was the time frame? Do you remember?
The time frame, I'm not sure, but when we went to Texas back in Thanksgiving, we didn't have her supplementation, and she started having flare-ups. So when we got back from Texas to Phoenix, we got her back on her supplements, and now her eczema's gone again. So
Okay, so it was probably a few months and it probably became better gradually, so you didn't even notice. And then you forgot about the supplements when you guys were out traveling, being busy, and then she had a flare up and now it's gone and now it stays gone.
Yes, that's correct. For my oldest, Elise, honestly, we had no idea how long it took. We actually completely forgot about that as well. We didn't think that what we were doing now was going to affect that. We had no idea at all. So it was probably about maybe a month ago, honestly, when we saw my daughter's hands and we're like, what's going on with her hands? Like she's not biting them anymore. I was like, did you notice that? And I was telling my wife, and she told me, I just noticed that too. I didn't realize it. So it was something that we don't know when she stopped biting her nails, but it's been a blessing since then. Like it's just mind baffling because we see the importance of what we're doing for our daughters, and I don't know any other way to explain it. It's just an ease, and not seeing them struggle with what their issues are, either my baby or my oldest daughter, and it's just amazing.
Oh, and I mean, this is not something that's typical, maybe, but it can be like it depends if she's biting her nails due to anxiety and we're maybe correcting some imbalances up in her brain since the brain is mainly built of DHA and DHA is a supplementation we have definitely added into that health protocol that the girls are now using. So that can be one explanation. It can also be that the body feels less stressed. It can also be that in some cases you might be having this feeling of needing to chew on something because you might have mineral deficiency and it can be an instinct. And when you are not feeling like you're having a mineral deficiency or vitamin deficiency anymore, you don't have that instinct as strong anymore. So there is a lot of different things that can be the reason for this. But it's just fun to like, because she's a girl that really didn't have any health issues. So it wasn't a lot that you were expecting. You just knew that if we're moving in the right direction as a family towards healthier state, it's going to benefit her as she's getting older and maybe she's avoiding getting other things that would potentially happen if you were staying on the same path as you were prior. Okay, so what about your wife?
So for my wife, from the health protocol that we had started, her bones stopped hurting in her hands and her feet, which was amazing. Whenever we would hold hands and I would, whenever you touch the fingertips, whatever, they kind of press against the nails, they stop hurting. And she was like, "Oh, my nails are strong." I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "It doesn't hurt anymore." She's like, "No." I was like, "Press against my nails." And so I would squeeze her fingertips and I would do it gently. She's like, "No, squeeze." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" I was scared to because I knew it used to hurt her. And she's like, "Just squeeze it. Just squeeze my fingertips." And I would squeeze hard. And I was squeezing so hard, Michaela, so hard. I was like, "What is going on?" Like, I can't believe it.
I feel like there must be a story behind her. Don't you have like a fun story of like you walking next to her trying to hold her hand or something and she's like pulling away because of pain or something? I feel like you're you're so scared of touching her. It must be some stories behind this.
Well, yeah. So when we would hold hands, I used to like to cup her fingernails with the tip of my fingertips, and it would hurt her. She would just jump up and she would push my arm away. She's like, "Why are you doing that?" And so that was my thing. I used to love doing that to her fingertips. And she goes, "You hate me, don't you?" I'm like, "No, I don't hate you. Like, why would you say that?" It's like, my fingertips hurt.
I knew something must have happened because like how afraid he is like when he's trying to explain how he like yeah did it and pressed the finger so softly and then a little bit more and a little bit more like are you really sure? I knew it must be something more behind that. Okay, and then for you, Joe Andrew, I mean you have seen your wife basically. I mean, I met her yesterday and she is glowing. She is truly is glowing. She looks so happy. She looks like there is no problems in the world, basically. And how does that feel, you being, I mean, how long have you guys been married?
We have been married 11 years. We're going on 12 this July.
So you have been married for 12 years. You have seen your wife struggling with all of these weird aches and pains and hyperthyroidism. And what was some of the problems around that? How did that make her really feel?
Well, the issues with that was she would the medications that she used to take, she would sleep all the time. That's all she would want to do is sleep and sleep and sleep. And so it just seemed like it progressively got worse, like the pain in her joints, headaches. She had constant headaches. Like I did not understand how she went throughout the day because her headaches would get so bad. And then she got so used to those headaches that she wouldn't even say nothing about them. And I'm like, "Are you okay? How are you doing?" She goes, "I have a headache." "How long have you had a headache for?" "I've been having it since I woke up." And like, "And you didn't say nothing?" And she's like, "No, there's nothing I could do about it."
Yeah. Aren't we many women out there that is trying to stay strong for our families and trying to hide how we're really feeling because we don't want to be that boring mom, boring wife, and admit that we're struggling with health. And sometimes we are belittlifying the symptoms as us being ridiculous too, for because a lot of people are struggling and you should just be able to get through it, you know? It's a part of life, it's a part of aging, it's a part of being a mom, it's a part of we are always having all of these excuses. It's a part of my DNA. My mom also have lots of PMS, so that's why I'm struggling with it, you know. So, okay, Joandra, and how is she feeling today? Is she still so tired? Is she still using her medication? Like, what's going on there?
So she is not using her medication. Her joints have stopped hurting, and her nails, squeezing her nails, they don't hurt anymore. So that's been a blessing. She hasn't complained about headaches at all. So, but she never complained about them before. So I would ask her like, "Hey, how are you doing? You have a headache?" "Nope, I'm fine." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's amazing, you know?" And so seeing that and seeing how excited she's been since we've started our journey, it it's filled me with joy because now like I get to see my wife, I get to see my daughters. They're doing better. We're making the right decision, and it just gives me a peace that we're heading in the right direction.
And how is she sleeping? Is she still like dead tired or is she having more energy or
Well, she sleeps still the same, right? She's a night owl. So she likes to do things later at night while I'm getting ready to go to sleep and get up for work. But I mean, her sleep has gotten better. She says that she feels good when she sleeps, that she has the best sleep she's ever had. And as far as that, I think I think that's it on her with the sleep, you know. So I don't got nothing else to say.
I mean, I met her multiple times. I've never seen her seem like she's tired during daytime, at least when I've been around. So I feel like her energy levels are pretty good during daytime.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as like when she gets up, her energy levels, yeah, they're actually up, and she's out and about doing things. She was actually taking care of my her cousin's daughter and my sister-in-law's child and my baby. And to be able to do all that and have the energy to, do the daily activities she does at home since she's a stay-at-home mom, cleaning, cooking, stuff like that, like she's doing fine in that, you know. I mean, I wish I could be there and help with all that stuff, but I have to work. But yeah, she's doing really good with that.
Okay, so Joe Andrew, now up to your story. So, Joe Andrew, we had to pause a little bit because we had lots of bells in the background. But now I'm so excited to hear your story. First question, are you still falling asleep while you're waiting for the red in intersects to become green?
No, I am not. I am not falling asleep. I do not have the fatigue that I used to have. I mean, I don't have fatigue anymore at all, really. But as far as what I used to feel compared to now, I had no idea. Like no idea, Michaela, like I could feel like this. And being able to focus. And I feel like the fatigue and the brain fog went hand in hand with each other. And being able to speak and have the mental clarity and to comprehend things in a different way that I couldn't before, I'm amazed. Like I am blown away by it. So that is not an issue anymore. And so that is one of the biggest changes that I've noticed that was really important for me because I know how dangerous it is being on the road and falling asleep. You see it all the time, all these accidents, different CDL drivers, when they have their accidents, they fall asleep or they're distracted. And it can be very devastating for a lot of people, you know. So me getting that under control, I was like baffled. I was completely amazed by it. I am very happy with the results of not having that issue anymore.
Oh, and I don't know if you guys can hear the bell clocks ringing in the back, but we got some pretty music here going on, putting the mood up when when Jandra is telling all of the health benefits that are coming into his life, almost like it's a church miracle.
Yes, it is a miracle because I had no idea this was possible. And the other thing from my fatigue and brain fog that I was in shock with was my food allergies. I was allergic to bananas and grapes and but beets as well. And so when I would eat those, my throat would get really itchy, my ears would get really itchy. And so I stopped eating those for a long time. I used to eat them all the time. Me and my wife, when we first got married, we would have licuados, and that's where we get the milk and the bananas and oats and make our little shakes. We used to have that all the time, breakfast or then sometimes later on throughout the day. And so we would go through bananas like crazy. It was one of my favorite things. And when I started developing that allergy, I was like devastated because, well, what am I going to eat now? You know? Um,
I just have to ask, when you say a little, like a few years, how many years have you been avoiding eating those fruits?
so me and my wife been married 12 years. The first 6 years, we would eat like that. And it's probably been about 5 years that I can honestly remember that I've been avoiding the fruits.
And you have been using allergy medications for other allergies as well during that period of time to manage the allergies.
Yes, I tried several allergy medications, but the only one that seemed to work on me was Benadryl. And so I tried to avoid Benadryl at all costs because my allergies were so bad that my lungs would hurt. And when I would take my Benadryl, I would sleep half the day. So it was like half the day gone by. I didn't get to spend time with my oldest daughter when she was a baby or my wife. It was just a waste of time. And I wasn't living the way I wanted to because of my allergies.
As someone that struggled for allergies for 6 years and also used 2 to 3 different allergy medications daily and felt that increased tiredness due to the medication, I can completely relate to that. And so now, how is your energy levels now? Are you using the medication anymore, or are you fine, or what's going on?
Yeah, as far as allergy medication, I am not taking any of that anymore. My energy level has increased a lot. I get up a lot earlier, or I mean, I get up the same time, but it's not a struggle. It's not a fight anymore to get up. So now when I sleep, my sleep is so much better. I feel like I get the REM sleep that I need. That's for the next day. And my energy is not like, like when some people say they drink pre-workout or energy drink, they get the jitters. It's not like that. It's just a sustained energy and it's like natural. It's supposed to be there. And that's what I'm feeling. And I love it.
That makes me so happy to hear. And to Andrew, if you would have been able to tell yourself something 10 years ago, what would you have told yourself regarding your health?
Oh, wow. If I could go back 10 years.
And the reason why I ask this question is because there are so many people out there that may or may not struggle with any health benefits at all, and they may not have started thinking and coming yet to the pain point where they just know that they need to do the changes to change their health. And a lot of people are living in those years for, I mean, a long period of time when we're just like, walking around and accepting how we're feeling. So if you could educate yourself about something that you knew you were going to listen to 10 years ago, what would that be?
10 years ago, if I could go back, it would be to invest in my health and myself because when I was 10 years ago, I had the mentality, I'm still young. I can burn this off, whatever. And now that I'm getting older, I realize that I should have taken care of myself in the years before because what I've noticed people around me is they say, "Oh, they were so healthy," and all of a sudden they have whatever sickness. And what I come to understand is that sickness has been building up over time, and our bodies are strong enough to hold it or hide it until it's not. And so, if I could go back with the knowledge that I have now and understanding, like, hey, dude, take care of your health, take care of your mind, and work on eating better, more exercise, and keeping that up for my wife and my kids.
Lovely. And I'm actually probably going to do a follow-up episode where I will explain why you, Joandrew, saw benefits in your health. Because I think that is also very intriguing on why are we struggling with brain fog? Why are we struggling with IBS? And why are so many people that are struggling with IBS also struggling with food sensitivities? So I'm probably going to do a follow-up where I will explain this a little bit more in depth for people that have now heard your story and is intrigued. Then you can go and listen to the follow-up episode next week, where I'm going a little bit deeper in what are some reasons why sometimes when we're struggling with symptoms we don't think we can do anything about, why we can really do something about them if we want to. Well, thank you so much, Joandrew, for coming on to my podcast today. I hope that you and your families keep on remembering to do your new routines, which have helped you so much, and keep on moving your body into the right direction when we are talking about our health.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on your podcast, Michaela. And the journey that we're starting, it is truly amazing, and we're going to keep going. We now know as a family we're heading in the right direction, and I applaud you, and I hope that you reach many more people because people need the knowledge that you've given us. Just such a blessing. I can't express that any more than that. You have touched us and given us and poured into us the knowledge that we need to succeed, not just health wise, but mentally. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Joandrew. I'm going to give you a hug. Thank you so much. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.